Hey everybody, and welcome to Easy English.
I'm Zoe.
I'm Liam.
It's great to be here with you all today.
So you want to learn English, huh?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome.
We are here to help you get started, even if you only have like a few minutes every day.
Absolutely.
We're going to share some simple but really powerful tips.
Yes.
And we promise that it'll be fun.
We promise.
All right, so let's just dive right in.
Okay.
One of the first things that you might notice about English is that the pronunciation can be a little bit tricky.
That's true.
I was reading about this technique called the echo method, and it's supposed to be like a really effective way to improve your pronunciation.
Oh, yeah. The echo method is fantastic.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
So what's the deal with that?
Well, it's all about training your ear and your mouth to work together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does it work?
It's actually really simple.
Okay.
So you listen to a short audio clip, maybe just a few words,
Okay.
and then you try to repeat those words exactly as you heard them.
Like an echo?
Exactly like an echo.
Okay.
But here's the key. Before you repeat the words, you let the sounds echo in your mind for a moment.
Okay.
And that helps you just really internalize the pronunciation.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not just mimicking, it's almost like actively listening and processing those sounds.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool.
And the more you practice, the better you'll become at hearing and reproducing those sounds.
So where can we find good audio clips to practice with?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, one of the best things about the echo method is that you can use it with almost any type of audio. So you could use like a language learning app,
Sure.
or you could even just listen to your favorite English TV show or movie.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I love watching TV.
Me too.
So much fun.
Yeah, it's a really fun way to learn.
Yeah.
You're not just studying, you're enjoying yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
But how do we actually practice the echo method with a TV show?
Okay, so it's easy. Just choose a short scene,
Okay.
maybe like a minute or two long, and then play it a few times.
Okay.
And each time you play it, focus on listening to the pronunciation.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I listened to the scene a few times, and then what?
Then you choose a short phrase from the scene, just 3 or 4 words.
Okay.
And you practice repeating that phrase using the echo method.
So I listen to the phrase, let it echo in my mind, and then I repeat it out loud.
Exactly.
Got it.
And you can do this with several different phrases from the scene.
Okay, cool.
The key is to focus on the sounds and try to match the pronunciation as closely as possible.
I like that.
Yeah.
It seems like a really practical way to improve pronunciation.
Yeah.
But what about the other aspects of language learning?
Sure.
Like grammar and vocabulary?
Well, the great thing about using TV shows is that you're also exposed to a lot of natural language.
Right.
You'll hear how native speakers use grammar and vocabulary in real-life situations.
So it's almost like I can learn by osmosis just by watching my favorite shows.
You got it.
Okay.
And don't worry if you don't understand every word at first. Just try to get the general meaning and pay attention to how the language is used.
Okay, that makes sense. But, sometimes I get discouraged when I feel like I'm not making progress fast enough.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Learning a new language can be challenging.
Right.
But it's important to remember that everyone learns at their own pace.
So I shouldn't compare myself to others.
Exactly.
Wow.
Just focus on your own journey and celebrate your small victories.
Like being able to understand a whole sentence or ordering a coffee in English.
Those are big wins. And the more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
I've noticed it sometimes. I get so focused on the details that I forget to just enjoy the process of learning English.
Yeah, it's important to have fun.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying yourself, you're less likely to stick with it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how can we make language learning more fun?
Well, we've already talked about watching TV shows.
Right.
But there are lots of other fun things you can do, like listening to English music or reading English books and magazines.
And don't forget about talking to people.
Yes.
Even if you're just starting out, you can find language partners online.
Exactly.
Or join a conversation group.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Talking to people is one of the best ways to improve your fluency.
Okay, so we've talked about pronunciation,
Uh-huh.
grammar, vocabulary, and even having fun while learning.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should keep in mind as we start our English learning journey?
I think the most important thing is to be patient with yourself.
Okay.
And to remember that making mistakes is part of the process.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I used to be so afraid of making mistakes
Right.
that I was almost afraid to speak.
Yeah, we all have to start somewhere.
But mistakes are how we learn.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to make them.
So don't be afraid to make them. And remember, we're here to help you every step of the way.
That's right. We're in this together.
All right, so let's go out there and start speaking English.
With confidence and joy.
I love it all right now. Before we move on to some other cool tips and tricks, let's take a closer look at this echo method.
Okay.
It really is like a game changer for pronunciation.
What's so fascinating about the echo method is that it taps into our natural ability to learn by imitation.
So it's kind of like how babies learn to speak by listening to their parents?
Exactly.
Wow.
Our brains are wired to pick up patterns in language,
Right.
and the echo method helps us to exploit that ability.
That's cool, but I'm still a little fuzzy on exactly how it works.
Sure.
Can we break it down step by step?
Yeah, let's say you're watching an episode of your favorite TV show,
Okay, I'm picturing it.
and there's a scene where a character says, "It's a beautiful day."
Okay, I'm with you.
So the first step is to listen to that phrase a few times. Really pay attention to how the actor pronounces each word.
Got it. Listen and pay attention.
Then once you've listened a few times,
Okay.
you try to repeat the phrase yourself before you say anything.
Okay.
You let those sounds echo in your mind for a moment.
Okay, so I hear the phrase, I let it echo, and then I try to repeat it.
Okay. And as you repeat the phrase, focus on matching the pronunciation as closely as possible. Pay attention to things like the intonation, the rhythm, and the stress.
Okay, intonation, rhythm, stress.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand all those words.
Okay, no problem. Intonation is the rise and fall of your voice as you speak.
Okay.
Like when you ask a question, your voice goes up at the end.
Oh, like, is it a beautiful day?
Exactly. And rhythm is the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in a sentence.
So some words are louder than others.
Right.
Okay.
And stress is the emphasis you put on certain syllables within a word, like the word beautiful.
Okay.
The stress is on the second syllable, beautiful.
Feels beautiful, not beautiful.
You got it. And by paying attention to those details, you can really improve your pronunciation.
I'm starting to see how the echo method can be so effective,
Yeah.
but it seems like it would take a lot of time.
Well, the good news is that you don't need to spend hours practicing.
Right.
Even just a few minutes each day can make a big difference.
So I can practice during my commute or while I'm cooking dinner.
Exactly. Just find
Yeah.
those little pockets of time throughout your day.
Okay. I'm feeling motivated to try this echo method,
Yeah.
but I am a little worried about sounding silly.
Don't worry about that. Everyone sounds a little silly when they're first learning a new language.
That's true. I remember when I first started learning English.
Right.
I sounded like a robot.
We all have to start somewhere.
So the key is to not be afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
I'm feeling inspired.
Yes.
I think I'm going to go home tonight and try the echo method with my favorite TV show.
That's great. I'm sure you'll be amazed at how quickly you improve.
Now let's move on to some other fun and effective ways to learn English, because pronunciation is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. We also need to talk about vocabulary and grammar and how to stay motivated when the going gets tough. But first, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Sounds good. Welcome back to Easy English.
We're talking about all the cool ways that you can learn English.
Even if you only have a few minutes every day.
And we've been talking about the echo method,
Yes.
which is an awesome way to improve your pronunciation.
Right, but now let's talk about some other important aspects of language learning,
Okay.
like vocabulary and grammar.
Yes, vocabulary is all about the words you know, and grammar is about how you put those words together to form sentences.
So vocabulary is like the bricks,
Uh-huh.
and grammar is kind of like the mortar that holds them all together.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
And just like with pronunciation, you can learn vocabulary and grammar in fun and engaging ways.
Like watching TV shows.
Exactly.
Right.
When you watch TV shows, you're exposed to a wide range of vocabulary and grammar structures.
And you hear how native speakers use the language in real-life situations.
Right. So it's a great way to learn naturally.
But how do we actually learn new words and grammar rules from TV shows?
Well, one way is to keep a notebook handy
Okay.
and write down any new words or phrases that you hear.
Okay, so I'm watching a show. If I hear a word I don't know, I write it down.
Exactly. And then you can look up the meaning of the word later.
And what about for grammar?
For grammar, you can pay attention to how the characters use different tenses and how they structure their sentences.
So it's almost like I can learn by example just by observing how they're using the language.
Right. And if you're not sure about a particular grammar rule, you can always look it up online or in a grammar book.
That's helpful, but sometimes I feel overwhelmed by all the new words and all the grammar rules.
I know it can be a lot to take in, but remember, you don't have to learn everything at once.
Right.
Yeah.
So I should just focus on the basics.
Exactly. Start with the most common words and grammar structures, and then gradually build up your knowledge.
And be patient with myself.
Absolutely. Learning a new language takes time and effort.
Speaking of effort, Sometimes I just don't feel like studying.
I think we all have those days,
Yeah.
but it's important to find ways to stay motivated.
So what can we do when we're feeling uninspired?
Well, one thing that helps me is to set realistic goals.
Like what?
Maybe you could set a goal to learn 5 new words each day,
Okay.
or to watch one episode of your favorite TV show in English.
Okay. That sounds manageable.
Yeah, and when you achieve your goals, be sure to reward yourself.
Ooh, like a piece of chocolate.
Or a new book or anything that makes you happy.
I like that rewarding myself sounds much more appealing than forcing myself to study.
Exactly, learning should be enjoyable, not a chore.
Okay, so we've talked about how to learn vocabulary and grammar
Mm-hmm.
and how to stay motivated.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should cover?
I think we should talk about resources.
Okay.
Like where to find good materials for learning English.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, there are so many resources available these days.
Like what?
Well, there are language learning apps, websites, podcasts, and even YouTube channels.
Wow, so many options.
And many of these resources are free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so there's no excuse not to start learning.
So there's no excuse.
And the best resource for you will depend on your learning style and your goals.
So if I like to learn by watching videos, I might choose a YouTube channel.
Right.
If I like to learn on the go, I might choose a language learning app.
Right, and if you want to improve your listening skills, you might choose a podcast.
Exactly. There's something for everyone.
There is.
I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by all the choices.
Don't worry, we're here to help you navigate the world of language learning resources.
So what are your top recommendations?
Well, for starters, I highly recommend the Duolingo app.
I've heard of that one. It's like a game, right?
Right, it's fun and engaging, and it covers a lot of the basics.
What about websites?
There are tons of great websites out there, but one of my favorites is BBC Learning English.
I've heard of that one too.
Have you?
It's from the British Broadcasting Corporation.
Right, and they have a lot of high-quality materials, including news articles, videos, and even grammar lessons.
Cool. What about podcasts?
There are so many great podcasts for learning English, but one of my favorites is All Ears English.
What's that one about?
It's hosted by 2 American English teachers,
Okay.
and they cover a wide range of topics, including pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and even cultural tips.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and for YouTube channels, I recommend English with Lucy.
What's special about that one?
It's hosted by a British English teacher, and she has a really engaging teaching style.
Okay. I'm going to check out all of these resources.
Great, and remember, the most important thing is to find resources that you enjoy.
Because if you're not having fun, you're less likely to stick with it.
Exactly. Learning should be a joy, not a chore.
Okay, so we've talked about how to improve pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, and even how to stay motivated. What's next?
I think it's time to talk about putting all of this into practice.
Like actually speaking English.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, the goal of language learning is to be able to communicate.
But speaking can be scary,
I know it can be nerve-wracking to put yourself out there,
especially when you're first starting out.
but the more you practice, the easier it will become.
So how can we get over our fear of speaking?
Well, one way is to start small. Don't try to have a long conversation right away.
So I can just start by, like, saying hello to somebody.
Exactly. Or by ordering a coffee in English.
Or asking for directions.
Right. Just focus on using the language in simple, everyday situations.
And try not to worry too much about making mistakes.
Exactly. Mistakes are part of the process.
And they can actually help us learn.
That's right. So embrace your mistakes.
Okay, I'm feeling a little more confident about speaking now.
Great. And remember, there are lots of people who want to help you learn English.
Like language partners and conversation groups.
Exactly. And there are even online communities where you can practice speaking with other learners.
Well, I don't have to do this alone.
Not at all. There's a whole world of support out there.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But I think the most important message is this.
What's that?
Learning English can be fun and rewarding.
Absolutely. And it's something that anyone can do.
Even if you only have a few minutes each day.
That's right. So what are you waiting for?
Go out there and start learning English today.
And remember, we're here to cheer you on every step of the way. And you know what's really interesting? We were talking about Southeast Asian caregivers in Taiwan learning Mandarin
Uh-huh.
and how they often pick up the language remarkably quickly.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
What's the secret to their success?
Well, one factor is definitely necessity. They need to communicate in order to do their jobs and like build a life in a new place.
Right, it's like sink or swim, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But another factor is their approach to learning. It's very practical and hands-on.
So they're not just like sitting in a classroom memorizing grammar rules.
Not at all. They're immersing themselves in the language
Right.
by listening, speaking, and interacting with native speakers.
It's like trial by fire, but in a good way.
Yeah, they're not afraid to make mistakes, and they learn from every interaction.
I think that's a really important lesson for all language learners.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
exactly. Mistakes are proof that you're trying.
And they're valuable opportunities to learn and grow.
You know, it's kind of like learning to ride a bike.
How so?
Well, you're not going to learn how to ride a bike by just reading a book about it.
Right.
You have to actually get on the bike and start pedaling.
And you're going to fall a few times.
Of course. But each time you fall, you learn something new.
And eventually you get the hang of it.
Exactly. And it's the same with language learning.
Yeah.
You have to get out there and start speaking, even if you make mistakes.
I think that's a great analogy, but sometimes it's hard to find those opportunities to practice speaking.
I know what you mean, but there are actually a lot of ways to practice, even if you don't live in an English-speaking country.
Like what?
Well, you could join a language exchange group
Okay.
or find a conversation partner online.
Those are great ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a little shy about talking to strangers.
I understand, but remember, most people are happy to help others learn their language,
Okay.
and they're probably just as nervous as you are.
Yeah, that's true.
So take a deep breath and give it a try.
Okay. I'm going to try to be more brave about speaking.
That's the spirit. And remember, we're here to support you every step of the way.
So we've talked about pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, motivation resources, and even speaking practice.
I think we've covered just about everything.
Is there anything else we should mention?
Just one more thing.
What's that?
Don't forget to have fun.
That's important.
Learning English should be an enjoyable experience, not a chore.
So find ways to make it fun for yourself.
Exactly. Whether it's watching your favorite TV show, listening to music, or reading a good book.
Make it something you look forward to.
Yeah, and remember, the more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to stick with it.
And the more progress you'll make.
So go out there and have fun learning English.
And remember, we're here to cheer you on every step of the way.
Thanks for joining us on Easy English.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of language learning.